I just wasn't expecting to see one on the Bema.
I think we're about to start, guys, just so we know. We'll do it after. I'm so sorry.
Looks like we just have to wait for who else? Denise? Is that it? All right, we'll see how long this one lasts. It's totally up in the air. I have no idea.
I'll just talk fast and I'll sing fast.
How long should I wait for Denise?
All right, guys.
Good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Sukkot, Chag Sameach, and Good Yom Tov. Wonderful to see all of you here in the sanctuary. Special welcome to all of you who are watching our live stream. If you have a phone, would you kindly put it to either mute or to vibrate? That would be greatly appreciated. I am Rabbi Matt Berger, so pleased to be with you on this beautiful morning, joined by a number of fine individuals on the Bema. First, our cantorial soloist, Allison Rosoff, our wonderful High Holy Day Choir, led ably by Corey Short, and down on the ivories, our accompanist, Joy Katzen-Guthrie. This will be somewhat of a unique service. We're going to be doing portions of the Yom Kippur morning service, as well as selections from the Yizkor memorial service, and finally some prayers from the Ni'ilah, or concluding service. Hopefully all of you picked up a copy of Mishkan HaNefesh, dwelling place of the spirit or soul. We will begin our service with Ma Tovu, a selection from the book of Numbers on page 138. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, Yisrael. Please join me in a prayer for Israel that you'll find right on the screen. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. May you bless the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces and all who stand guard to protect our people. Shield them from all troubles and injury. Help them secure freedom without loss of life for all those held captive by the enemy. May they have strength and courage of heart. Continue with a special prayer on page 157, Asher Yasar, a prayer and blessing for our bodies. Please join me. Ben Azai used to say, treat no one with scorn, regard nothing as useless, for all people have their moment, and all things have their place. Diamonds, when found in the ground, may look like worthless pieces of glass. It takes an expert to see the precious gem that is hidden within. Become an expert in human beings. Learn to see each one as a diamond in the rough. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei chol basar umafli la'asot. Blessed are you, God, who performs the miracles of creation and healing. We continue on page 176, the words of the Chatzi, or Reader's Kaddish of Praise.
Yit gadol v'yit kadash shemei rabbah.
For the words of the Barhu, the call to prayer. Join me in a prayer of creation, page 181. Like an unbroken current, energy streams from the source, bathing the planet in light, calling forth life, movement, mind unfolding from matter, the power to love. And we offer it back to you, our own creative energy, ever dreaming, building, shaping patterns out of chaos, searching out light in the darkness. Creation never ceases, not for an instant. All life is aglow with your light. All things draw sustenance from the source. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hamaorot. Our praise to you, Adonai, creator of the lights of heaven. On the top of 183, you love us by helping us grow. You give us Torah, a ladder for the soul, words that draw us upward. Every mitzvah an invitation to climb. Forge and kiln and crucible to purify our hearts. You give us Torah by helping us grow. On 184, the closing words of the blessing, Baruch atah Adonai habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. You have singled out your people Israel with love. Feel free to be seated. We'll continue on page 188 and 91 by chanting the words of the V'ahavta. You shall love Adonai with all your mind, soul, and strength. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'eleh Asher Anoki Metzavcha Hayom Al Levavecha Vishinantam Levanecha V'dibarta Bam V'shitecha B'veitecha U'vlechecha B'derech U'v'shokpecha U'kumecha U'v'shartam Le'ot Al Yadecha V'hayu letotafot ein einecha U'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha U'visharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem echol mitzvotai Yitem kedoshim Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'aretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Mi chamocha, our prayer of freedom, is found on page 196. Ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael, blessed are you in our lives, eternal one, who redeemed Israel. It's my honor at this time to call forward our temple president, Paula Rosa.
Better? This has been a terrible year. The Jewish year started with the horrific events of October 7th, 2023, when the world witnessed the worst tragedy for the Jews since the Holocaust. Yet, despite the initial outpouring of support for Israel, anti-Semitism is at an all-time high, and we are seeing pro-Hamas rallies on our college campuses and in our streets. The year ended with 2 massive hurricanes affecting the west coast of Florida, with a never-before-seen storm surge on our shores. The destruction is apocalyptic. Many of our own congregants lost everything. But we are a resilient people, and a major reason for that is because we have always considered ourselves part of the Jewish community at large. The whole is much stronger than its parts. I know that I am preaching to the choir now, because all of you that are listening are either congregants or guests for the High Holy Days. All of you know the importance of belonging to a synagogue to fulfill some or even many aspects of your spiritual life. You are here because you were raised in the Jewish faith, and you want to continue with our rich heritage. You are here because you adopted Judaism as your chosen faith, because you were searching for something to fulfill your spiritual yearnings, and Judaism made perfect sense. You are here because you had a birth in the family and wanted that child to be named in the faith of Moses. You are here because a loved one died, and you wanted to pay respect for their life. You are here because you wanted to get married under the chuppah. You are here because you understand the importance of tradition and wanted your child to become bar bat mitzvah. You are here simply to be part of a community which, as stated on the URJ website, believes that there is more than one authentic way to be Jewish, and that Judaism must change and adapt to the needs of the day to survive. Okay, so choir, why am I preaching to you? Because to keep our doors open and provide all of the above, it takes a lot of money. We have our ordained Rabbi Berger, our cantorial soloist Allison, her assistant soloist Michelle, and their accompanist Joy, who all help to provide beautiful, prayerful services. A terrific staff consisting of our office administrator and bookkeeper Sydney, our administrative assistant Kara, our tech and all-around super-duper organizer Norm, our beloved custodian Alex and his new assistant Derek, our multi-talented religious school director Tammy and her devoted team of teachers, including Linda and her team of bar bat mitzvah tutors, and her son Alon, who works with the youth group. And guess what? They all expect a paycheck every 2 weeks. And guess what? Duke Energy expects their bills to be paid, as do all of the other utilities, insurance companies, security and police departments, lawn maintenance company, etc., etc. At the last Saturday morning Shabbat service, Dr. Ron Gilbert gave a sermon on the word aleinu. This literally means upon us, but it is more familiarly known to mean it is our duty. We have a dues structure here at Temple Avat Shalom, and we offer an accommodation to anyone that needs some help. But dues only cover a portion of our expenses. The High Holy Day Pledge is a line item on our budget. We must meet that obligation in order to function. I know that this has been a hard year. If you have suffered any hardships over the last year, I offer my sincere prayers that this year will be a better one. For others, I hope that you are fortunate enough to be able to donate to many charities and those in need. But, aleinu, it is our duty to support this building and all of its working parts so that we can continue to offer all of the wonderful services, education, and support to our Jewish community, as we have been doing so for the last almost 50 years. Please be as generous as possible. Aleinu, it is our duty. Gamar Chatama Tova, may you be sealed in the book of life. Our ushers were supposed to come around to collect your little donation cards. Oh, there they are. So if you got your little card and you can tear off your donation level, please do so. If not, feel free to mail it in or bring it to the office, and thank you very much.
Many thanks to you, Paul, as well as to our ushers for sharing that very important message. Our service will continue on page 198 with our standing prayers as we ask God to open our lips. Let's rise together.
Adonai, Sivatai Tiftach, Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Adonai, Sivatai Tiftach, Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Sivatai Tiftach, Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Adonai, Sivatai Tiftach, Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei
Baruch Hu u'Baruch Shemo.
Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מחכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא עולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות חיות הכל. ברוך
אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Feel free to be seated. We'll continue with the words of Unatana Tokef, the sacred power of this day, page 208. Unatana Tokef, let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love, your reign is a reign of truth. Join me in truth. You are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal, you record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other. Continuing on page 214, but through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. Join me on 2:16. We who are mortal, our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away. Please rise for the Kedusha, our prayer of holiness, page 218 and 20.
נקדש שמך בעולם, נקדש שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב אל יד נביאך, Adirenu
seated. We'll continue with a prayer for the righteousness of all nations, page 227. Please join me. Our sages teach the righteous of all nations have a place in the world to come. And Scripture says, "My house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples, so let them be blessed. All those who pursue justice and act with compassion, those who give strength to the Jewish people and help to build our future. Cherish family and friends, allies and supporters. With gratitude and love, we give them praise." Continue with a prayer for the day's holiness, page 230. In your love, eternal our God, you have given us this Shabbat for holiness and rest, and this Yom Kippur, a day on which our wrongs are forgiven with love, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our peoples going out from Egypt. Page 233, Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo letovah, ufokdenu vo livracha, vehoshienu vo lechaim. Eternal our God, remember us, be mindful of us, and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. The priestly benediction, Birkat Kohanim, is found on 244.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
God bless you and protect you. May it be so. May you receive the light of God's kindness and grace. May it be so. May God bestow favor upon you and give you peace. May it be so. Turning the page to our prayer of peace, Sim Shalom.
Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Tova
Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity. May it be a life of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Osei Shalom. You are the blessed one, eternal source of shalom. Take these moments for our own private reflections. Beautiful song was Ki Elecha, because my soul longs after God. this time, we'll move to the reading of Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and Merciful, in the beginning of the Torah service, Seder Kriyat Torah, for this Yom Tov morning. My pleasure now to call forward to help us open the Aron Kodesh, to open the Ark, Sid and Erwin and Tel. After we read Avinu Malkeinu, Sophia Schoen and Reese Short will be holding the Torahs. And following the processional, once the Torahs get back to the Bima, Susan Heron will be helping to undress the Torah. We'll turn now to page 252 and rise together. Please join me. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and Merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu ve'al Olaleinu v'tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever v'cherev v'ra'av me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, Malei Yadenu Mi Birchotecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, Harem Kerem Mishichecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, Na'at Shivenu Rekam Milfanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing. Avinu Malkeinu, Kabel Barachamim Uvratzon Et Tefilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Imanu Leman Shmecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Lemancha Im Lo Lemanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake, if not for ours. Avinu Malkeinu, Ein Lanu Melech Ela Ata. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, Petach Sha'arei Shamayim Litfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Chus v'rachem aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Treat us with tender compassion. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu va'anenu, Ki ein banu ma'asim, Aseh manu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and Merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love. continue on page 256. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Rachanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Nosei Avon v'Fesha v'Chata'ah v'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
La
Okay, here we are for this morning's Yom Kippur Torah reading, which is Nitzavim, found right at the end of the Torah in the latter chapters of the book of Deuteronomy. We'll be reading from Deuteronomy 29 as well as Deuteronomy 30. You'll find the text on page 266, as well as the opening blessing, which is on 258. And this morning's Torah portion is all about choices, as Moses tells the people, Uvacharta b'chayim, that the Israelites, and by extension all of us, should choose life and blessing each and every day. Whether choosing life and blessing in terms of caring for our bodies, caring for our soul, and caring for our community. For our first Aliyah Torah, it's my honor to call to the Bima Lillian Epstein. Tamod Le'ala Aliyah Torah. I will be reading the first reading.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu Torah emet Baruch atah Adonai Osein HaTorah.
Amen. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem Rashechem shivtechem ziknechem v'shotrechem kol ish Yisrael tapchem nishechem v'gercha asher b'kerev machanecha mekotei beitzecha Ad shoev memecha leovrecha bivrit Adonai Elohecha ubalato asher Adonai Eloheinu koretim hayom leman chatim otcha hayom lo le'am vehu yelecha le'Elohim Kasher diber lach, kasher nishba le'avotecha le'Avraham le'Yitzchak u'Yaakov, v'lo itchem levadchem, anochi koret et habrit hazot v'et alah hazot, ki et asher yeshno bo. Imanu omed hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu ve'et asher einenu po imanu hayom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Let's all say Yasher Koach to Lil. While we have the Torah still before us, we'll turn to page 273 in our prayer books. Here we'll find the words to Mi Sheberach, our prayer of healing. We, of course, think of all those who are injured due to the conflicts in Israel as well as Ukraine. And to these names we add the following individuals for strength: Joanne Beeman Fiddleman, Yonatan Ruven Ben Rivka, Charlie Burke, Tina Bruns, Kate Fagan, Heather Felser, Harry Fleisch, Mitchell Freifeld, David Freelander, Don Hirschman, Jim Howard, Kathy Howard, Phyllis King, Jerry Longerich, Jonathan Marks, Tova Marks, Ken Mercero, Michael Ranzino, Stephanie Ross, Dennis Schulman, Angie Sermenis, Jeff Stark, Carrie Taylor, and James Vacarlelli. Are there any other names to add at this time for healing?
Father, start. Misheberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Ve'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuge the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
My honor to call forward at this time our second Torah reader, Ron Gilberg, as well as our Temple past presidents to join us on the bima for the honor of chanting the blessings before and after the reading from the scroll. I read Deuteronomy 29, and now we're going to move to Deuteronomy 30.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'chabornu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki ha-mitzvah hazot asher anochi mitzavecha hayom lo neflithi mimcha v'lo ruchakach hiv lo v'shamayim hiv lemor mi'alel lanu hashamayma v'kechecha halanu v'yashmienu ota v'nahasena lo mever layam hiv lemor. Miaver lanu elever hayam v'kechecha halanu v'yashminu ota v'nasenam ki karov elecha hadavar meod b'ficha v'ilcha lasoto. Re'e natati lefanecha chayom ercha chayim v'tatov v'tamavet v'tara asher anochi misavecha hayom li'ahava et Adonai Elohecha la'lechet birachav lishmor mitzvotav v'chukotav umishpatav v'hayita v'ravita u'v'rachacha Adonai Elohecha ba'aretz asher tavashama l'rishta v'mifnei levavecha v'lo tishma v'nidata v'ishtahivita l'elohim acherim v'advatam Igati lachem chayom ki avot tovetun latacharichun yamim adama asher tover et hayardein lavo shama l'rishta Haidoti vachem hayom et hashamayim vet haaretz hachayim v'chamavet natati lefanecha habracha v'aklala uvarchatar v'chayim leman tiyeh אתה וזרעך, לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך, לשמוע בקולו ובדקבו, כי הוא חייך ואורך ימיך, לשבת על אדמה, אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיך, לאברהם, ליצחק יעקב, לתת לכם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher notan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam notah b'tocheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Let's all say Yashar Koach to Ron for a beautiful reading and all of our past presidents. So lovely to have you here with us on the Bima Blessings for a happy and a healthy new year. I have pleasure to call forward Judy Fairfield. She'll be reading a translation of the Torah portion.
Am I using what you provided? Nisavim, roll call, leaders, tribes, elders, officers, each Israelite, and we mean each and every Israelite, babies, women, resident aliens, laborers of all sorts. Each one of you present is joining a promise with God today. This is the same promise that Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah all made, but it can't be a long ago promise alone. It has to be in your mouth like a piece of candy, like running shoes on your feet. Joining God's promise itself gives you the energy to fulfill what you've promised. In fact, the promise is right onto your solar plexus, as steady as the beat of your heart. All you have to do is to make the right choices when choices come along. If life and death come before you, choose life. If good and bad come before you, choose the good. If a blessing and a curse come before you, choose the blessing. Seek life, justice, goodness, and blessing, and your days will be filled with the pursuit of God's most precious creation, peace.
Thank you, Judy, for the honors of lifting and dressing the Torah. Honor to call forward our choir director, Corey Short, and Susan Heron will help us with the dressing of the Torah. You'll find the words, "This is the Torah, V'zot HaTorah," on page 274. Let's rise as the Torah is lifted.
V'zot HaTorah she'asa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Api Adonai v'yad Moshe. Yai lai 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 lai.
I'll now read an introduction to the Haftorah portion that you will find on page 276. The reading is Isaiah 58. Isaiah is called by God to address the people with a powerful sermon that will resound throughout the community as the ram's horn summon ancient Israel to battle or sacred assembly. His words are intended to be as discordant as a shofar blast, shattering complacency and disrupting the normal ceremonies of the holy day. The prophet notes, ironically, that God pays no heed to the people's ritual acts of fasting and prostration. Their hypocritical displays of piety fall, as it were, on deaf ears. Only if the rituals are accompanied by humility, generosity, and care for the needy will God hear the worshipers and attend to their call. I will be reading from the Haftorah. You'll find the blessings on 275. Pleasure to call forward my wife, Ida Berger, who will be leading the blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hanemarim bemet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'Moshe abdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'imviei hamet v'tzedek.
Amen. Kira v'garon al tashov kashofar harem kolecha ve'hager le'ami pish'am ulvet Yaakov hatotam ve'oti yom yom dir roshun ve'da'at dirachai yetzpatzun kegoye asher tzedakah asa, umishpat Elohav lo azav. Yisraeluni mishpatei tzedek, kirvat Elohim yechatzu. Lama tzamnu velo ra'ita, ininu nafshenu velo teda. Hein beyom somchem timseu chefetz, v'chol atzvechem tihin goshu. Ein l'riv umatzah tatzumu, ulhakot ve'egrof resha. Lo tatzumu hayom, lehashmiya b'marom kolchem. Hakazeh yeh sum evkarehu, yom anot adam nafsho. Alachok ke'agmon rosho, v'sach v'efer yatzia. Alazeh tikratzum, v'lo ratzon l'Adonai. Alozeh som evkarehu, bateach hartzubot resha. Vehater agudot motah, v'shalach ritzutzim chofshim, v'chomotah tenakehu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzor kol amim, tzadik b'chol hadarot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'yoseh, ha'medaber u'mkayin, shekol divarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah v'al avodah, v'al nevim, v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, v'al yom ha'kippurim hazeh, shenatat lanu Adonai Eloheinu, likdusha, limincha, limchila, v'lislicha, v'lichapara, lichavod, u'litafaret, al hakol, Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umvarchim otach, yiparesh shimcha befi kol chai, ta'ami li'olam va'ed, u'devarcha emet v'kayam la'ad, baruch atah Adonai, Melech mochel v'soleach lavonotenu, v'lavonot amo beit Yisrael, u'ma'avir ashmotenu b'chol shana v'shana, melech al kol ha'aretz, mekadesh ha'shabbat, v'Yisrael v'yom ha'kippurim.
Let's say Yasher Koach to Ida. We'll now return the Torah to the Ark. If you turn to page 291, you'll find the words, for a precious teaching that Torah is an Eitz Chaim, a tree of life. Please rise as the Ark is opened.
Lemazim
Let's continue now on page 296. This is the Vidui Zuta, the short confession for Yom Kippur. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we return to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. The Dewey Confession continues on page 300. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'ones uvratzon ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha v'yodim uvlo yodim. The ways we have wronged you under duress and by choice, and harm we have caused in your world consciously and unconsciously. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bivli da'at ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha v'ritzat raglayim lahara. The ways we have wronged you through our thoughtlessness, and harmed we have caused in your world through impulsive acts of malice. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechozek yad, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'zilzul horim u'morim. The ways we have wronged you by abusing our power, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'kashut orech. The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through inflexibility and stubbornness. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chachash uvchazav, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'kalut rosh. The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matters. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'siach sifotenu, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tzarut ayin. the ways we have wronged you in our routine conversations, and harm we have caused in your world through envy. Ve'al kulam Eloha slichot, selach lanu mechalanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Continue now on page 304 and 306. Al chet shekatanu lefanecha v'galui u'basater v'al chet shekatanu lefanecha v'sinat hinam. The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by hating without cause. Al chet shekatanu lefanecha v'frichat ol v'al chet shekatanu lefanecha v'machal u'mishteh. The ways we have wronged you by losing self-control, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. Al chet shekatanu lefanecha v'gilui arayot, v'al chet shekatanu lefanecha v'imutz halev. The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world by hardening our hearts. Al chet shekatanu lefanecha b'nefesh u'marbit, v'al chet shekatanu lefanecha v'masav uvmatan. The ways we have wronged you through greed and exploitation, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business. Al chet shekatanu lefanecha v'hiuhur harlev, v'al chet shekatanu lefanecha b'irchilut. The ways we have wronged you through our innermost thoughts, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor. Al chet shekatanu lefanecha b'chachat shopad, v'al chet shekatanu lefanecha b'chilul Hashem. The ways we have wronged you by offering or accepting bribes, and harm we have caused in your world by profaning your name in public. Ve'al kulam Eloha slichot, selach lanu mechalanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. David and Michael have been married to their spouses for many, many years and are the best of friends. One evening, David confides, "You know, Michael, I don't think my wife finds me as attractive as she did when we first met." Michael replies, "Well, what makes you say that, my friend?" David answers, "Well, I just don't think that she looks at me the same way that she used to." Michael nods slowly, commiserating with his friends, and after a few moments he says, "Well, it's quite the opposite for me. As I get older, my wife says I get more and more handsome every single day." "Of course," David replies, "that's because your wife is an antique dealer." As they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and many times this comes down to our perspective. It can be likened to the way that light is refracted through a prism. I'll ask our tech team to put an image of one of those right on the screen. Though the spectrum of colors remains constant with the light shining through, each of us will interpret what we see in very different ways, which can then inform the choices that we make. This happens to be the primary theme of the Yom Kippur Torah reading, Nitzavim, in Deuteronomy. After gathering the Israelites, Ron beautifully chanted, Moses says, Re'ei natati lefanecha, see, I set before you this day life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, uvacharta b'chaim, so that you and your children may live. It's a stirring moment in our people's history because both then and now, the choices that we make shape our future. This morning, I'll explore 3 ways that we can make meaningful choices in our lives. First, in regard to our physical health. Second, in terms of our spiritual health, the realm of the soul. And finally, concerning the direction of our country as we prepare to go to the polls this election. It's worthy to note that Judaism takes issues regarding our body and physical health seriously. Moreover, it provides a wealth of knowledge regarding personal wellness, which can be defined as a holistic integration of physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, so that instead of just surviving, we can thrive. Our tradition even supports New Year's resolutions, like exercising more and taking better care of ourselves, even if all of our holiday meals gravitate towards rich foods using oil, butter, and maybe some of you even use schmaltz. From fried potato latkes during Hanukkah to Hamantash and cookies on Purim to multi-course Yom Tov holiday meals with family and friends. Even so, Judaism considers it a foundational mitzvah or sacred obligation to do what we can to remain healthy, a teaching that can be traced back to the Torah, where we read in Deuteronomy, Hishamer lecha ushmor nafshecha, meaning guard yourself and guard your soul very carefully. Our sages understood this phrase literally, meaning we should guard our body, a value called Shmirat Haguf. Philo of Alexandria put it this way: the body is the soul's house. Therefore, shouldn't we take care of our house so that it doesn't fall into ruin? This makes sense. Our prayer book provides a daily and regular reminder that our body is a profound gift. This prayer, Asher Yatzar, the one who forms, was first introduced by a Talmudic sage named Abaye about 1,600 years ago. His original suggestion was to recite these words after using the restroom because it thanks God for forming our body with chokhmah, with wisdom, an intricate network of channels, vessels, and openings which contain the flow of life. Many years later, this prayer for health was added to the liturgy. Now, some of us, if we grew up in a conservative synagogue or a traditional synagogue or visited one of them for services, might recall seeing a plaque on the wall displaying this prayer outside of the lavatory. I'll ask our tech team to display a picture of just one of these, it's all in Hebrew, on the screen. Typically, it's located next to some hooks that people can place their talit or prayer shawl, which aren't taken inside the facilities. To this day, many Jews still recite this prayer according to Abaye's original custom, a reminder that we shouldn't take our bodies for granted. Regarding our health, there are any number of anecdotes that speak to the importance of getting regular checkups. Take Jacob, for instance. After receiving a complete physical with an array of lab tests, Jacob returned a week later to hear the results right from the doctor. After looking at the test results, the doctor says, "Jacob, you're doing fairly well for your age. Obviously concerned about the comment, Jacob asks, "So doctor, do you think I'll live to be 80? The doctor replied, "Well, do you smoke or drink beer?" "Oh no," Jacob said, "I've never done either." Then the doctor asked, "Do you eat grilled steak or barbecued ribs?" "No," Jacob replied, "I've heard that red meat isn't the most healthy." The doctor continued, "Do you spend a lot of time in the sun, maybe playing golf or pickleball?" "No, I don't," Jacob replied. Then the doctor asked, "Do you gamble or drive fast cars?" "No," Jacob said, "I've done none of those things." Staring at Jacob for a moment, the doctor asked a final question. "Then why do you want to live to be 80? Our bodies are more than simply atoms, chemicals, skin, and bones. There are countless miracles at work in maintaining our body's health and keeping it free of disease. At the same time, all of us have our own unique genetic makeup passed down to us through the generations of our family, which hopefully has bequeathed more positives than negatives. Yet our commitment to caring for our body should be paramount. Over 800 years ago, the great rabbi, physician, and philosopher Maimonides wrote an entire work dedicated to healthy living. In contrast to other physicians of his age who stressed drugs, herbs, or surgery, Maimonides maintained that proper exercise, diet, and nutrition were the key factors to maintaining health. He taught if we lead a sedentary life and never exercise, we'll be subject to aches and pains throughout our days, and our strength will ultimately fail us, meaning it's up to us to make wise choices regarding our physical health. Now, any approach to our physical health and well-being must also involve the spirit or soul. Spirituality is the place where we meet God. While it's pretty easy to find the presence of God on a beautiful sunny day, maybe at the beach or at a life cycle event that's filled with special meaning, Jewish spirituality encourages us to dig deeper, to find God's presence in less obvious places, like Moses did when he noticed the burning bush. I'll ask our tech team to show a beautiful painting of what this might have looked like. This, too, can be a matter of perspective because it involves seeing the world through a different lens. Here's a personal example, a peek, if you will, into my household. Since Ida and my kids, Avi and Meital, were born, we have sung the Shema prayer to them every single night of their lives. Now, in a rabbi's home, this might seem like a given. After all, many, many Jews consider reciting this prayer daily a requirement or a mitzvah. Nevertheless, it's a very special ritual for us personally, and my kids really pay attention to it. Many times they even join in themselves. It's a spiritual moment that connects us to each other as a family and connects each of us to God. We should also keep in mind that the relationship between our body and soul is vitally important. Our sages have described them as married. At first, they say they're independent of one another, yet over time, they join together, hand in hand, becoming so intertwined that touching one surely affects the other. Today, we understand this as the mind-body connection, which refers to the intricate link between our physical health and our emotional, spiritual state. In other words, our soul. A connection that suggests that our thoughts, feelings, and attitudes can influence our physical body and vice versa. The breath, which is called nishama in Hebrew, is one of the primary ways to connect body and soul. In the story of creation, God breathed life into Adam and Eve. Using our neshama, our breath, we can awaken our body, becoming more aware of our spirit on a regular basis. An example of this is Ujjayi breathing, which I learned many years ago while practicing yoga. I use this technique on a regular basis, especially during times of stress. It involves inhaling and exhaling out of each nostril a few times on each side, which actually provides immediate benefits, calms the nervous system, and enhances well-being. Regarding the spirit or soul, many studies have shown that being involved in a religious community is better for our physical body in terms of immune functioning and reducing loneliness, in part because having faith in God and faith in each other are social by nature. In a similar way, seeking counseling when it's needed can enhance our emotional health and promote resilience against illness and disease. The key is making a commitment to nourish body, mind, and soul through exercise, friendship, lifelong learning, eating healthy foods, practicing stress reduction techniques, spending time with family and friends, and enjoying the beauty of nature. This year, I invite you to take advantage of the many opportunities our congregation offers to renew our physical, emotional, and spiritual selves, from sisterhood-sponsored yoga meditation classes led by my wife, Ida, to mahjong games that keep minds sharp. There are adult Hebrew classes, brotherhood monthly book club meetings, theater events for empty nesters, as well as a new learning series I'll be teaching called Torah Today. As with our bodies, the choices we make with our discretionary and free time can directly impact the state of our spiritual health. Finally, with the election just weeks away, we need to consider the well-being and future of our country. As a rabbi and one who strives to be a good person, a mensch, I try to see the world through Jewish eyes. I've relied on this perspective in every election in which I voted. Now, long, long ago, a rabbi named Yitzchak taught us that a leader shouldn't be appointed unless the community is counseled first. As an example, he calls to mind Bitzalel, the artisan who helped build the tabernacle or sanctuary for the Israelites. Even though God singled Bitzalel out by name, he wasn't chosen until he had the support of the community. This ethic of participation in communal decision-making is deeply embedded in Jewish thought. For generations, Jews have taken voting very seriously. While only 2% of America's population, the Jewish community consistently turns out to vote in large numbers. In a good year, turnout among the general population for presidential elections is roughly 50%. Yet 80 to 85% of eligible Jewish voters submit a ballot every 4 years. To put it simply, Jews matter in elections because we know as a people that voting matters. So how can we see through Jewish eyes this presidential election? Personally, I think the words of the Holiness Code offers sage advice. I'll ask our tech team to share an image of this text. It's one of the oldest copies of this section of the book of Leviticus, chapter 19. It's a collection of civil, legal, and ethical regulations that encompass a full 10 chapters of Leviticus. But the essence is chapter 19, pretty much the center point of the Torah. As you listen to these selected verses in English, think about how they can directly relate to the choices that lie before us this November. You shall be holy, because I, the eternal God, am holy. When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. Do not defraud your fellow, insult the deaf, or place a stumbling block before the blind. Judge your kinsmen fairly. You shall rise before the aged and show deference to the old. When strangers reside among you in your land, do not wrong them. Love them as yourself, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall have an honest balance and honest weights. Faithfully observe all my laws and all my rules. I am the eternal, your God. The Holiness Code, especially this chapter, shares a worldview in which social and economic justice are valued and the vulnerable are protected, where fairness is the rule rather than the exception, and honesty is esteemed. Ideally, this should hold true in our personal lives, but our elected leaders should embrace these values as well. By this time, it's likely that most of you know who you're voting for on Election Day, but in case you don't, consider bringing a small copy of Leviticus chapter 19 with you into the voting book. Believe me, and I've looked this up, it won't be the first time that a person has carried the Bible into a voting booth on Election Day. It's an important civic duty. If we want to be successful at something, it's important to have the right tools of the trade. For an angler, this means having a decent rod, the right reel, good hooks, and quality bait. Some knowledge of the basics of fishing would also help. So it is with us. In life, we make countless choices that affect our physical health, our spiritual health, and during election season, the direction and future of our country. The Torah teaches Uvacharta b'chaim, meaning it's up to us to choose life. When we choose to care for ourselves, both body and soul, we're much more likely to have the strength to care for those around us. Shana Tova. So at this time, and thank you, Kara is in the back, we wanted to offer, and this is arranged by the choir, a small token of our appreciation to our choir members, to Allison, to Corey, and to Joy for the wonderful, wonderful efforts and beautiful, beautiful song that they've given to us throughout the High Holy Days on Rosh Hashanah and today on Yom Kippur. Thank you so much to our choir, Yasher Koach. Thank you very much, Kara, for all that you do here at the temple. I'll invite you to join me in a beautiful reading called Hakarat HaTov, Recognizing the Good in Our Lives, that you'll find on page 312. Throughout the year, regard yourself as equally balanced between merit and sin. With one act, you can tip the balance for yourself and for the world. Every good deed makes a difference. And so it is written, a righteous person is the foundation of the world, for one who does good tips the balance of the scales and can save the world. I'd like to spend just a moment to speak about the importance of legacy giving here at TAS at Ahavat Shalom. I believe on the chairs you have that wonderful bookmark. Throughout the High Holy Days, we're asked to look inward, a time to think about what's important to you and your family, to the Jewish community and the organizations that are making a difference in your lives. At Temple Ahavat Shalom, we've established a very easy yet meaningful way for you to make a difference, create a legacy, and ensure that our synagogue thrives for generations to come. The Rabbi Gary Klein Lador Vador Endowment Fund. A small part of the fund's income, once we reach a certain level, will be used each year for temple needs. The principle of the fund is being wisely invested at top to be a sustained source of income for our synagogue in the future. We welcome any gifts now as well as commitments for future gifts to ensure the long-term financial strength and health of our beloved congregation. This new year, I invite you to become a legacy member of our synagogue, providing a source of strength for the future. And feel free to contact the temple office or Ed Marks with your interest. At this time, we are going to continue with the Yizkor Memorial Service. And we'll turn to page 540. Just remember that we're going to do a small, in Hebrew you'd call it a hafsakah, a small break, just a few minutes. And then we'll begin with Yizkor, which starts on page 540. We'll begin in 1 minute. Our memorial service begins on page 540 with Eli, Eli, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the hearts. Please join me on 541. This is the hour of memory, and this is our house of comfort. Wounded by loss, we retreat from life. Our synagogue gathers us in. Into this place, we bring stories and prayers, unanswered questions, tears that need to be shed, lives recollected and carried with us, moments of courage and laughter and pain. This day embraces them all. This place embraces us all. Now the heart opens in sorrow. We are time subjects, and all that we love we must lose. So let us hold fast to the love that remains and cherish the light of the sun. Today all of us walk the mourner's path. Together may we find strength. Continuing on 546, the seven lights of memory of Yizkor. The traditional Yizkor memorial prayer asks God to remember the souls of our loved ones and shelter them for eternity. But the Yizkor service on Yom Kippur has significance beyond the prayer itself. This is a moment set apart for solitary reflection, an opportunity to fulfill a sacred obligation, and it is a time to feel the physical and emotional closeness of community. Presence of other people who know what we have been through because they have been through it too. At Yizkor, we see the sorrow in one another's eyes. This time I'd like to call forward to help us light our 7 memorial candles, Ron Gilberg and Michelle Fishman. Jews are known for many things: our commitment to learning, social action, and striving for peace. But there's one thing that we're not known for, and that's silence. Elie Wiesel, the Nobel laureate, was once asked if Judaism had a tradition of silence. His reply, "We do, but we don't like to talk about it." There are many examples of this. When visiting a Shiva house following the burial or death of a loved one, there are certain customs that are followed. Food is brought to the mourners. Mirrors might be covered. Some even sit on lower stools or chairs. However, the most important tradition when visiting a Shiva house is that we shouldn't speak to the mourners unless we're spoken to. Even though it seems contrary to social norms, it's meant to keep the focus on comforting the mourners. When observing the anniversary of death of a loved one, we light a yahrzeit candle, but no blessing is recited, just silence. It gives us time to reflect on shared memories. We recite the Kaddish, yes, but it isn't a blessing. Rather, it's a prayer of praise. This stands in contrast to every other time that we light candles in Jewish tradition with a blessing on Shabbat, on Havdalah, on Jewish festivals, and throughout Hanukkah. I've often wondered why this is the case. Some believe we don't recite a blessing for lighting the yahrzeit candles because it's a later tradition. After all, the sages of the Talmud didn't light memorial candles. In fact, the custom of lighting yahrzeit candles didn't take hold until the late 17th century, because before that time, many Jews were averse to lighting memorial candles because it was a common practice in churches. That being said, there are other modern commemorations and customs in Judaism that are accompanied by blessings. For instance, during Israel Independence Day. So there's likely another reason for this. Perhaps it's because the subject of every other blessing is God. Whether we're asking for health or peace, or sharing a blessing of gratitude, or reciting a prayer that accompanies a mitzvah or sacred obligation, such as wrapping oneself in a talit or prayer shawl. But then it came to me. Perhaps the lack of the blessing when lighting a yahrzeit candle has more to do with whom we address, because it isn't God. Rather, when we light the memorial light, we're thinking about our loved ones who are no longer with us and the blessings they bestowed upon us during their lifetime. I'll share a personal example. When I light a yahrzeit candle for my mom, Leah, I recall the wonderful memories that we shared. The times we listened to the Boston Symphony Orchestra at Tanglewood in the Berkshires, or when I used to sit beneath the piano when I was a little kid as my mom practiced Chopin, Mozart, Bach, or Beethoven. I also remember the way that she shared her love of Judaism with me and my family, how proud she was when I was ordained as a rabbi and married my Beshert Ida, and the sparkle in her eyes when she became a Savta, a grandma, when Avi and Maytal were born. To be sure, God was part of all of these moments, but the focus of the yahrzeit candle's flame was my mom's soul and her legacy of love, learning, music, and joy. The poet writes, "At birth, a miracle, the spark in every human soul. Emerging into light, we breathe it in, the neshama, God's sacred gift, the breath of life. Every day, every breath comes to us as a miracle. The light within us, unique and precious, is with us always while we live. When breath has ceased and life is gone, The neshama, the soul, returns to God. And the spark that lived inside the ones we love, unique and precious, beautiful and good, is theirs no more. Their light becomes ours. Their radiance now burns in us, an eternal flame of memory. We light the Yahrzeit candle to keep the memory of those we love alive. In many ways, it's an eternal light, a ner tamid, like that one, which illumines our days and provides us the strength we need to navigate life without their physical presence. The loss of a loved one, whether they lived a full life or died too soon, throws our lives all out of balance. It's the nature of grief. The more we love, the more intense our emotion. It comes to us in sudden gaps and changes, an empty place at the dinner table, the loss of physical companionship, especially during the first year, as we celebrate birthdays, holidays, and milestones without our loved ones by our side. Hopefully, when we light the Yahrzeit candle in memory of a loved one, the thoughts and images that come to mind bring tears of gladness. But as we know, all human beings are flawed and no one is perfect, whether they're parents, spouses, partners, siblings, or friends. At times, we might have experienced moments when our loved ones' words and actions may have missed the mark. Perhaps there were times we were treated less than fairly. But as we learn throughout the High Holy Day liturgy, all of us have the ability to change our perspective and perhaps in due time learn to forgive. Parker Palmer, the author of A Hidden Wholeness, writes about two ways the heart can be broken. The first imagines the heart as shattered and scattered, while the second imagines the heart broken open with a newfound capacity for growth. It's like the V'ahavta prayer, which asks us to set these words, which God commands us, upon our hearts. Al levavecha. Sometimes our heart may be closed, and we can't place the words inside, so they rest upon our heart. But one day our heart will break open, and the words, wisdom, and life lessons will fall in. Our tradition shows great care in teaching us to gather for memorial prayers 4 times a year. These special moments mark the seasons of the years and the seasons of our lives. They evoke strong memories of the relationships that shaped, sustained, and at times challenged us, and the holy days we shared with each of them, and friends who are no longer with us. The book of Proverbs says the soul of a person is the candle of God. Like candles, souls breathe, change, grow, and strive to dispel darkness. But their home, the physical body, ultimately fades away. Such is the nature of life and death. The Yahrzeit candle, in memory of loved ones, recalls their values, their kindness, the goodness of their hearts. May we continue to honor their legacy by engaging in loving deeds that are within our reach, by sharing their wisdom with those we love, and by giving donations of tzedakah in their good name. We are taught that the crown of a good name, a Shem Tov, surpasses lineage, royalty, and even Torah. While no blessing accompanies this solemn ritual, the candle or light of our dear loved ones enriches us all. We'll continue now with the singing of Psalm 23. Following that, we'll recite together an English translation.
Adonai
Please join me with the translation on page 594. With God as my shepherd, I shall not want. The Eternal makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside the still waters, restores my soul, guides me in straight paths for the sake of God's name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. Continue on 597. Our loved ones live in our broken hearts, and at times that brings some measure of healing. Their acts of kindness and generosity are the inheritance they leave behind. We feel their absence, but the beauty of their lives abides among us. As it is said, the name of one who has died shall not disappear. Our loved ones' names and their memories will endure among us, and these are the names on our lips and in our hearts. This is the list of those who have died in the past 365-day calendar year. We fondly remember Jonathan Bernstein, Selma Biller, Bobby Chambers, Marie D'Alessandro, Mark Joseph Fial, Norman Fiddleman, Stephen Fishman, Leo Gilberg, Bruce Goldstein, Sherry Greenberger Baker, Sam Grossman, Jerome Karp, Eileen Klein, Louis Quall, Michael Leibowitz, Ann Lewis, Nick Martin, Penelope Meza, Edmund Colby Munger, Toby Nassiter, Hadrian Newman, Lober Padron, Carlos Rabasa, Miriam Richmond, Robert Rosen, Sanford Sonny Sadler, Stanley Schechner, Ina Singer, Robert Wallstein, Billy Winters, and Sharon Worster. We now rise for the words of compassion, El Malay Rachamim, page 598.
El Merachamim, Shochem Bamromim, Amitzei Mechana Nechana, Tachat Chanevei Ashina, Im Gerushim Tohurim, Kezohoragei Abasirim, Lenishmot Yakirinu Shechahu, Leolamim. Yastirihu Besiter Knafav Leolamim, Bitrur Hachayim et Nishmatam, Adonai hu Nachalatam, Ve'anuchu b'shalom ha'mishkafam, Ve'nomar Amen.
Please join me in translation. Merciful God, God Most High, let there be perfect rest for the souls of our loved ones who have gone into eternity. May they find shelter in your presence among the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold them close to you forever. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May they find a home in you. May they rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. Feel free to be seated on page 602. You can join me. We miss them at celebrations when there's an empty seat at the table. We miss them when the community gathers and there's an empty place beside us. We miss them today and every day with every year that passes as our life goes on without them. Their faces, their voices, the feel of our arms around them, these are with us forever. For so it is written, Love is strong as death. The love that we gave, the love we received, these endure amid the pain of loss. You'll find the words to Mourner's Kaddish on page 606 as we think of those families in the period of Shloshim, first 30 days mourning their loved one. Sanford Sonny Sadler, father of Barry Sadler, Maya Lazarus, friend of Paula Rosoff, Eileen Klein, wife of Alan Klein, Sherry Greenberger Baker, cousin of Ellen Kessler and Robin Taylor, Ron Finkel, friend of Esther Klein, Shelley Gars, friend of Marnell Pluchak, and Stephen Fishman, husband of Michelle Fishman. We also mark the yahrzeit anniversary of passing of Seymour Altman, Joan Baer, Daniel Bandes, Jonathan Bernstein, Archie Bloom, Rose Bordiansky, Evelyn Brindis, Claire Brown, Dorothy Patricia Chervitz, Harold Cohen, Crystalie Costello, Mary Eisenman, Bernie Feinstein, Saul Fiddleman, Evelyn Friedman, Norman Gottfried, William F. Groom, Jeanette L. Gross, Marvin Hawkins, David Jackson, Leonard Jacobson, Julius Cades, Eleanor Carver, Paul Katz, Alan Katz, Sarah Klein, David Konigsberg, Stephanie Crone, Mac Charles Levy, Sarah Lippman, Paulette Markowitz, Paul Messina, Mildred Moskowitz, Shirley Nassiter, Murray Newman, Honey Ramos, Martha Betty Reisberg, Nancy Rose, Albert Rosen, Abe Rosoff, Madeline Rothschild, Herman Schneider, Beatrice Schneider, Dennis Sherman, Samuel Schimbaum, Elsie Simon, Leonard Simon, Maggie Slaff, Irving Smith, Eva Suzanne Stein, Erwin Supo, and Pearl Tannenbaum. Are there any other names to add for yahrzeit? Thank you. We say Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of all these good people continue to be a blessing in their loved ones' lives as we rise to offer the words of Mourner's Kaddish praise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach v'rutei v'amlith malchutei, v'chayikon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalah v'zman kari v'imru. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam ulamei al-maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei d'kudashah b'richu, le'ela u'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'yalma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya asei shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the one who causes peace in the heavens cause peace to descend on us, Israel, and throughout the world, as we say, amen.
V'imru, 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 amen. V'imru, 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 amen.
This concludes our Yizkor Memorial Service. Feel free to be seated. Now we're going to move on to our Ne'ilah selections from the concluding service. Let's turn to page 645. Feel free to join me. It's a beautiful poem. Take the fruit of our lips, wholesome, true, and sweet. Accept our offerings, our words as we walk your path honestly and with integrity. Life is what you cherish and desire, not the death of human beings. Have faith in our righteousness. Diminish the voices that speak against us. Raise us up and let your presence light the way. Let this day's reckoning be done. Help us find atonement. Give us strength to stand upright in the world. Even before we cry out, may your forgiveness go forth. Adonai, please receive these offerings, the sincere offerings of our lips. We'll continue on the next page, 646. Slachna. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now in keeping with your boundless love. Adonai, Adonai, God compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. Vayomer Adonai salachti kidvarecha, and God responded, I forgive as you have asked. And on page 670, please join me. We stand as one before the gates of a new year, renewed by this day of atonement, made stronger by all who are with us and by those whose presence we feel within. As the long day fades into dusk in a few hours, we join our voices in words of hope and dedication. Pitchu lanu sharei tzedek navovam no deya. Open for us the gates of righteousness and praise the eternal source of life. You turn to page 672 and 673. You'll find a really interesting layout of the Shema, including Adonai Hu Elohim. So let's rise for these very special words.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Adonai Hu HaElohim. Adonai Hu Elohim. Adonai Hu HaElohim. Adonai Hu Elohim. Adonai Hu Elohim. Adonai Hu Elohim.
Feel free to be seated. I think it'd be great if we had all the kids who are here, kids, teens, young adults, to come to the Bima as we continue with the Havdalah service. And invite Harriet up to blow the shofar. You'll find the 4 calls of the shofar: Tekiah, 1 blast, Shavarim 3, Trua 9 staccato notes, and the Tekiah Gedolah, all on page 673. And our shofar orchestra. Tekiah. Shivarim. Trua. Ready for the big one? Tekiah Gedolah. Yasher Koach, well done.
So good.
All right, thank you so much. And you'll come up for our closing song that we're going to do right after Havdalah. It's going to be a very special one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen Yai la 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 yai la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la ya atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei besamim borei minei besamim la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei milrei ha'esh borei milrei ha'esh ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la Amazir ben Kodesh Loho Aton Seinu Imo Zarim V'Chaspeinu Yar Ve'Hako Ve'Hako Chavi Lai La Shana Tova Shana Tova Shana Tova Shana Tova Shana Tova Shana Tova, Shana Tova, Shana Tova, a good year, a year of peace, may gladness reign and joy increase. A good year, a week of peace, may gladness reign and joy increase. Let's sing Eliyahu Hanavi together. Eliyahu Moshi more time, let's invite our religious school students forward, along with Harriet, who's going to lead us in a very special closing song, a really nice version of Oseh Shalom, our song of peace, but to the music of John Lennon's Imagine. You'll find the words right on the screen.
Shalom, B'Roma, Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. From the top. Oh, say shalom, B'Roma, Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Everybody sing. All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Thank you so much, Harriet, to our students for being here. And that will conclude our services. Shana Tova, have a sweet and happy New Year, each and every one of you.